In this next movie, I'm going to be addressing the sticker or the advertisement, the advert, that's going to appear right here above the banner. In order to do this, we're going to implement a little bit of a trick that we saw in previous videos, and that is to absolutely position an element within another element. So the banner area that we have here, if you go to your code view, already contains, let's look at our source code, banner area already contains a description that we can see with the text. But within the banner area, there's this div with the ID called advert. There's nothing in that div. As you can see, it's just a closing div that's empty. So this is the one that we are going to be addressing. Let's switch to our design view. Now we don't have to be in live view, so I'm going to just turn off live view temporarily. Now when live view is turned off, as you can see, you might not see the background images. That's okay, they're still there. You just have to turn on live view in order to see them. So I'm going to switch to my CSS styles, and I'm in design view, not live view, because I want the banner information to appear right underneath the area here where we have banner. So let's create a new CSS rule. Now, as you can see, this is addressing the wrapper header h1 area, and that's not what I want at all. So I want to specifically be addressing the banner, so we'll put in a pound symbol and banner. Then I'll put a space, and if you remember, we have a div with the ID called advert. So that's what we're going to be addressing. So I'm going to click OK. And the banner advert is going to have a background image, and that background image will be the one that contains the sticker, and that's our advert PNG. Here it is. It's a transparent image, and that will allow it to appear on top of the other images without necessarily showing up with a white background. So I'm going to click OK. Now we don't really have to worry about the repetition because we're going to define the width and height by going to the category called box, and the width for this will be 280 pixels, and the height for this is going to be 290 pixels. This will ensure that it is going to be the exact same size as the image which we are going to be containing inside of it. So the only other thing I want to be doing with this is to get the positioning set up with absolute positioning. So we have absolute positioning here. We'll deal with the placement of that image in due time. So let's click OK. And you can see that the positioning seems a little bit off. And that's because we haven't really addressed it. But let's look at the live view for a second. And you can also tell that we need to be doing something with this image. Here it also looks like it's repeating, so I want to make sure that it's not repeating. But if you remember, the thing that we need to do about an absolutely positioned image is if we have an absolutely positioned image nested inside of another container, in this case the banner, we want to make sure that the banner is set to relative so that the absolute positioned element will work according to it. So let's go to the banner and let's edit the banner here, edit the rule. And in here, under positioning, let's make sure that the banner is set to relative positioning. It doesn't look like much happened, but that's just fine. We'll go back to the advert, and we'll edit the rule for the advertisement. And this particular one is going to say background repeat, no repeat. Because if you remember, we saw a little bit of those graphics repeating here and here, which we don't want to see. So once that's out of the way, it looks good. And now we can start dealing with the positioning of that element. So I'm just going to click OK for a moment, and let's go to the live view. Now if we were to select this particular item, as you can see here, it's the div with the advert ID. At this point, you'll notice that there's a little graphic right at the top of that box. Well, in Dreamweaver, the nice thing is when you're dealing with positioning, you can just grab the element and you can move it wherever you need it to be. So for example, I happen to have the view menu showing me my rulers. So you see here, rulers show, that's under the view menu. And I could take out a ruler and I could align an element right up to the top of this. That allows me to come in here and position my sticker in pretty much the same situation. Now, if you want to, you can move it left or right as well, just to get it exactly where you think you'd want it to be. Now, don't worry about the text being overlapped at this point because we'll be addressing that in a second. But let's take a look. In live view, now we've got sticker in place, and we have both of our tiling backgrounds in the banner. The only other thing we need to address at this point is the banner text and the banner buttons.